Should be happy before we came. Miss Daisy. Has medicine and took me Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah, I want your book.
He had to do a training class in Baldwin.
Dropped off some food for her to cook.
Well, I got some stuff. She's making me do some stuffed peppers. I had too many jalapenos. I don't know what to do with. They give me, I ended up paying £4. I don't know how many pounds. So I sent a message and she said, I can make some stuffed ones with bacon around for Andrew. I said, yes, you can have some. So that's not
I
me.
made stuff. You know, I made stuff so pepper.
Yeah, she loves stuffed jalapenos, not me. I saw your other gazebo. Not your gazebo, but your
Took it down.
Did he? I hadn't seen that. I saw that your little garden shed thing was popping up the other day with the wind. Your old one.
We got out and bus in the middle.
I saw that it was really windy. I was up there. I saw it flapping in the wind. I said, "Holy cow!"
We didn't know it till I happened to walk around the yard and I saw it.
It flew off. I just saw
Robin needs to hold off till 7, but I can't get him on the phone.
Nobody else coming right now?
Yeah, I believe
Sean.
so.
This here is keep up
I don't
with.
know.
General Smith, this is Sean Allen. You work for Northeast Georgia.
There should be 2 people on there.
Just saw Carol just got.
Hang on, I can tell you the guy's name.
This past week.
To go along with her retirement news.
How are you doing?
What's up, bro? Announce, I guess.
Alicia,
Yes.
I gotta believe that.
this is Alicia Barnes. She's the county administrator.
Hi, nice to meet you.
He's president of Trumbull County.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
awesome. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And he has a bid in on her. Now she can use her health insurance.
Okay, awesome.
I'm just going for comfortable.
Lucky one.
Thanks.
Just
went for comfortable.
pretty much pulled out. Traffic was high.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah, so.
It's such a challenge. Insurance is like, make eye contact with it.
Right now, it's even getting to be.
Yeah. We're with ACCD for workers' comp and liability and all that, but our health insurance, actually, we're self-insured
Yep.
for the county for health insurance,
Yep.
but in we're doing really, really well. Yeah, but it's like, I was talking to my HR director this morning, it's like, when things are going this way, you're just waiting.
Oh, hey, how are you?
Right now, but.
We handle whole county.
Where's the mayor? Do you? Okay,
Much of
wow.
it, and it's all, and most of it are all self-insured.
Okay.
Because we just kind of have
Good.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
She's feeling
and I don't know enough about that. That's not my specialty. Property casualty.
Is it? Yeah, there's that.
Well, it's all, it's just all applied. We're actually trying to hire a risk manager right now. The county approved for us to hire a risk manager.
So I just started getting six. It's just, I don't know what it is about that role,
I don't either.
but finding somebody's gonna, and once you find them.
Like keeping them, well, we're having the same, our board approved too, the risk manager position and then also a grant writer, which we were very thankful for, but we had just a hard time hiring. We had a fantastic grant
Good,
writer,
right.
but she was young. With her salaries.
Especially the risk management person.
Right. I've seen that. And I'm actually at the farm.
Overworking.
That county,
Yeah. You see your outlet. It's a
It's
challenge.
a- yeah.
It's a big challenge.
you watch over our families, our friends that we leave at home. We ask that you watch over our decisions as they affect our city.
We're gonna have, Robin is gonna call in about 7:05, whatever time we tell him to discuss his retirement notice. Because, after that, I would make a recommendation effective for March 1st of a new lease year. So, no. Okay. And then we've got, in addition, we need to do for LMIG. LMIG we approved last month. By the time Brian got some final numbers of distances from the vendor, the distances had changed. We had to match up our LMIG letter to DOT with our proposal. So that's just coming back for housekeeping.
Also, on just a regular session. That just needs to vote.
Yes.
Have a discussion.
And then the third thing will be the alcohol issue with Piedmont University, where.
Ordinance,
Yeah, okay. About them serving and selling alcohol on campus at events that they did last year with Lawrence. That right now we don't have anybody in city limits who can do all that they need.
Okay. What else?
It was just those three things.
Okay.
And then again, like I said, the other one was you have a long page in this same packet here on the side, right there. That's about the cemetery, so we'll talk about that under the city manager's report.
Okay, very good.
And everybody knows that Thomas is here, he just had to do a 20-minute phone call or so, and he'll be in here.
All right. We need to, the first thing is the utility energy efficiency. Megan said he'd be here about 6:45.
Yes.
All right, let's continue on down. So consideration of liability of umbrella policy. What you got?
This is something we've worked long on this year. We've been with Travelers, with Dulcie, and Managed Insurance. She told us last year that it had been roughly 25 years since the account had really gone out for bid. And with that, I've had a relationship with Turnwood Smith for 30 years. And we also contacted Jack. Is that the right name here? Yeah. And he wound up pulling out because the markets and the size of Turnwood Smith, they just couldn't compete with that. And then last week I met with Dulcie on Travelers. Her package is in here, which is number 2 on your tab. Service for 25 years. And I appreciate that email that you sent over. And basically, her bid was 167, but under the bid that Jimbo is going to show you, we're at a total insurance coverage of 18 million, and she only covers at 12 million. If she bumped up that extra 6 million, it would bump this up $32,000 to match his. And Jimbo knows this. I met with her. You'll see on page 2 when I met with Dulcie, I showed her Jimbo's bids. I showed her and said, "Can you beat these bids here?" She said she was gonna go back and crunch some numbers and see. And that's when she sent that email that I sent y'all that said, and she recommended the one that Jimbo's gonna talk about here. I know it's hard to see. On my computer it's this big. The print out is this big. So, and I've introduced y'all all to Jimbo Turnwood Smith. So with that, you can talk over there, you can talk right here.
Doesn't matter wherever you guys would like me to talk, I'm happy to talk.
You're good.
All right. So, sorry I was unable to come a couple weeks ago. I was the one on the phone, so it's nice to get up here and meet everybody. again, just kind of as a reminder, there's a wholesale company called Apex that we use that writes all of our public entity business. So that's, public schools, counties, cities, municipalities, and they do a phenomenal job. Part of
Refresh our memory, Apex is a smaller company.
They are.
We call it
That's correct. And so Apex, the way that relationship works is we just work in conjunction with them. And part of the reason is, and Mark kind of alluded to it, the challenge in the property and casualty industry right now is supply of applicable markets that will write municipal business. And Apex has access to all of them that will write business in the state of Georgia. So instead of me trying to go out, and you'll see on this list, you have three companies there that we got quotes back from: HCC, Selective, and WSI. Okay, so I'll give you a great example. Selective's one of our largest carriers in our office, but because they do almost all of their municipality business through Apex, instead of going direct to Selective, we went through Apex because that's how we feel like we get the best bang for our buck when working with them. HCC, I know sometimes these insurance companies, you get lost in the names and everything. They're actually owned by Tokyo Fire and Marine, which is one of the largest insurers in the world. This is just their sub company who has a specialty in public entity business. The summary that you have in front of you, we matched up apples to apples as far as coverages and limits. There's a few little nuances, but for the most part, you're getting a very robust description of coverage in a very short piece of paper here.
So, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Apex that you were talking about, that these companies run back through, the HCC, which one is Apex?
So Apex is the wholesaler we deal with. So they're just kind of sitting on the side, and we work with them in conjunction
And
with
they sell
carriers.
this brand.
They sell every carrier in the state of Georgia who
All
writes
three of
public
these
entities.
come through.
All three come through Apex.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Yep. One of the big challenges, right, that we kind of identified as we started this process a while back was your property limits. You guys had some exposure to co-insurance penalties, which is not favorable to you if something were to happen to a building. We were able to talk to the carriers and get them to write the property coverage on a blanket basis with an agreed value endorsement. That's huge for you guys because then let's say this, God forbid, this building burnt down, right? And you had this building insured for $2 million and it cost you $7 million to rebuild it. You'd have had a huge co-insurance penalty you'd owe money on. Well, now, if we had it estimated at 2 and it really cost 7, well, we've got 18 million. So we could just borrow it from another building and get the full coverage. So it's a big coverage issue that we were able to solve. We had actually all three carriers in their bids all put in under a blanket of property coverage, which is a little different than you had previously. And I think that's what Mark was talking about when he had a conversation with.
She bumped our number up, it was gonna cost about
$30,000.
And again, her bid she was at 164. And her new price subject to was at 167. But the biggest change was they dropped our auto insurance almost $30,000. People say 15 to 30% right now on these renewals where they've been hitting people. And so really I was shocked until those and I talked. I said, where did this number come to? And that's what she explained.
And I'll tell you some of the challenges right now, just kind of so you guys are aware, the market, the industry in Georgia. So I was talking to Mark last week. I was actually headed to the Capitol. One of the challenges that we're experiencing in Georgia is we're the #1 judicial problem in the country right now. And if you look, there's some big verdicts being thrown out through the court system and being upheld in appellate cases and through the Georgia Supreme Court. And because of that, the capacity in Georgia is shrinking. And when you have fewer carriers that are willing to write coverage, prices go up. And so the key is trying to figure out how to have a better playing field in the state of Georgia and encourage more carriers to be interested in writing all insurance, not just municipalities, but across the board. We're seeing it statewide. I brought some information, happy to leave with you guys and share with you on Tokyo Fire Marine and HCC about some of the services they offer, which I think you guys could take advantage of. We were just talking a few minutes ago about risk management. Very difficult to find people to work in that field. HCC offers some risk management services where they will come out and give you guys some advice and happy to look at things. I think that's something Travelers has probably done in the past, if I had to guess. I think it's a good thing for y'all to take advantage of because it's a free service that they offer whenever they're floating business. Any questions, anything I can answer? Happy to.
I feel like we had this conversation sometime in the past. But the type of insurance that covers, let's say somebody comes in and hacks our servers, is that covered under this or is that separate policy? Do we have that policy now?
That's a separate.
Is that not a terrorism?
That's it's a cyber coverage. You probably have a separate cyber policy in that event.
Okay.
Because that's outside the scope of general liability and auto. And
So you check on that too.
Will you make it?
Yep, I'll make it right now.
I think we already have one of those policies.
Yep.
We're legally required, governments are legally required to have it
I
now.
remember that coming out.
We're actually talking about raising we have it, but we only have it for $25,000. We're talking about increasing our deductible because there's just been, our coverage, because there's been so much.
Every hospital's a target, municipalities are target.
Probably have some minimum amount.
I do have a question. This HCC,
Yes, sir.
do you have any municipalities that are?
We do. We actually. What they sell to. They actually have 3,000 municipalities currently in the United States insured by HCC. And Apex, I think Apex has over 20 in the state of Georgia.
Very good. Any other questions, guys? What is our policy now?
We did it. I told OC because our policy of travel was supposed to expire on February 1st, but I have not sent in until tomorrow or Thursday the cancellation of that by design sheet I did because we knew we were voting tonight and he'll be getting us the endorsement tomorrow. When we have that in hand, we will send the 5 or 6 day coverage that we had in travelers and we'll be built to that, which is fine. So yeah.
They extend coverage.
They didn't get a cancellation notice.
So there's a grace period.
Correct.
This is a yearly policy.
Yep. Workers' comp and health insurance on 1/1 of each year. And then this one is February 1st.
Very good.
So when does this go in? This will go into effect
Tomorrow.
on?
So then our policy date going forward would probably be February 6th or 7th.
We'll work it out to get it February 1st.
Okay.
We'll work the carrier like that.
Total premium is that period after the 167 or column?
It's $154,000.
So it's 167.
The HCC number. 154.
In the bottom of the blue column in the yellow. second one over.
Okay. This account summary, what is this one?
That's Dulce's. That's right.
First one. So total premium would be $154,161 for the year.
Yes, sir.
And that also includes the new pavilion and the gym and city hall.
Yes.
As you can see on Dulce, that's where she had to add. Yeah. It was a application like this we had to fill out. Yes. Thanks to Megan and to Brian.
So when you compare these apples to apples, these are the same or better coverage than what we have.
Yes, sir.
He has that in the white that shows all the way across. Because one thing they get is we send when we do this, complete copies of our current policy.
That's correct.
So they see exactly what we're paying and exactly the totals. And it's a great chart the way you put those things.
Why is there such a big difference in the new top number there? Private and completed operations. The first, the existing one was 59, and then the next one's like more than 14, the other one about 18, and then WSI is about 50.
Basically what they're trying to do, so they get to a bottom line number that they feel like's applicable, and then they try to back into specific coverages and say like, so you may see, like for example, it's the same, very similar on the auto liability. See how different the numbers are. It's just how they're internally, how they price it and what their experience has been. So like HCC, for example, has obviously had very good experience in the general liability section. They've probably not had as good experience in auto liability. So hence, their auto is a little higher than their GL if you look across the board. But basically, they're trying to they work backwards off a bottom dollar number that they feel like is the adequate price.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, next, we'll move forward to animal control.
Okay.
Sir.
Yes, Is Lanier ready? All right, let's see if we can do the fire because he's at a meeting in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
Is he stepping?
I can make it.
Thank you. So go back to,
Now, if you want to tell us who this is.
Lanier Swafford is our fire regulator for the state.
Okay.
In this area. He also works part-time to keep his certification up at White County.
Okay.
We'll need that 2-page attachment.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. This attachment of 2 pages is from Chief Sure. While we're waiting on this, how this come about? To make this change, and correct me if I'm wrong. Firemen were asking some questions to Lanier about medical doctor, how they look at and approve your policies and procedures for the EMTs. Because right now, we've all been out of compliance. And it never came up. Nobody ever asked a question. The state didn't. So it's come up in the last less than 30 days. And basically, for us to administer oxygen or the instant glucose, we have to have an EMT. We're the only one that can do it. Now, before, any of our firefighters could do that. But technically, we can't right now. And you have 3 options. 1, continue on as you are with whatever liability comes up. 2, take these items off the fire truck, which means we can't do anything but just administer comfort and aid. Or 3, get your medical license for this. And right now, you'll see down at the bottom of the first page what Chief Sherwood said is to remain an unlicensed agency for the next several months to research the associated costs and full process that will be required to become a licensed medical first responder agency. I do believe that we should work towards becoming a licensed medical first responder agency to improve our service delivery. And what that means is we got to have EMTs, firefighter, can't do this. And the only thing they're doing different is they put a clip on your finger and they read how much oxygen is in your lung. They've been doing that. Now they can't do that. Can't do that. So it's a serious situation and it's going to cost us money. But again, that's why I had this come.
We can't hear, says it's garbled.
Oh.
So I don't know the problem.
Okay. Hey, Lanier. Hey, man, sorry about this. And okay, I just went through the 3. Number 1, when I tell everybody your name and your rank with the state and so forth, and 2, I just went through the 3 options. And County Manager Alicia Vaughn is here also on another topic, so she's here too and can add in anything while we're discussing this.
Yes, sir.
So go right ahead.
So, let me say right off the bat, that Mayor and Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate Mr. Russell for arranging this opportunity. And I want you guys to know that you're in no different situation than other cities within Habersham County. The way this came to be is the regional director of Office of EMS and Trauma. I don't go out hunting problems because having worked for a year at Habersham a number of years back, I know you run a very good system across the board between the county and cooperation with the cities. The whole conversation came up about a recent rule change that would in fact impact some stolen practices. And an employee that worked for 2 departments called me and asked me that. And so when we went to clarifying how the rules change would impact the city of Demorest, I said, well, they really don't because you're not a licensed agency because you don't have medical correction. Historically, the cities have been under the impression that they was under the county's ambulance license, and there was always a very cooperative spirit there between EMS for many, many years to support the county fire departments, and it's done very widely across state and other areas. However, if you want to get right down to line by line of the rules and regulations, certainly the points that Mr. Musselwhite made you earlier, they're accurate, and certainly I want to stand ready to help you move forward in whatever direction works best for you. With that, I'll yield and see if there might be any questions.
For instance, Gainesville just got theirs 5 years ago.
Mr. Musselwhite, they got theirs, I believe, in 19 games became licensed.
So, there you go.
So that could be EMP.
Yeah. But that's pretty good. Then we figured it out 5 years ago. So, we don't have any.
Last 10 to 15 years, fire departments have became a lot more involved in emergency medical response. So I think that's what drove them. It drove Union County Fire within the last 3 or 4 years. It drove White County Fire last year. Forsyth County has been on board for some time. Forsyth County Fire has. So, there are others in the area that are moving in that direction. Several that have not. And again, I'm not out running problems. I want to work with the departments to do what's best for their community and try to comply with rules and regulations.
Lanier, tell everybody your job title with the state, et cetera.
I'm the regional EMS director for the Office of EMS and Trauma. I cover 13 counties, starting in Dawson Hall, Forsyth, up through over through Raven and out through Hart. Our office's responsibility is enforcement of rules and regulations for the Office of EMS and Trauma. We inspect ambulances. We investigate medics when there's errors or omissions or charges are made against them. We also are involved in licensing and issuing continuing education programs and have a role in the special designation of hospitals.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, Lanier, we'll be in touch. Thank you very much for taking time.
Make one more statement, sir. I understand that your new fire chief coming in previously worked for South County, and while I can't put a name with it, I'm sure I'm gonna know him when I see him. And having worked there, he's probably got some understanding of the MFR system coming from Forsyth. So once he gets on board, please share my number with him, and I'll be happy to work with him whatever direction the city chooses to go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me call in. You guys have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
You're basically saying we're gonna need one EMS on.
EMT, yeah.
EMT on each shift.
If we're going to do it under our own license, or you take it off, or you keep rolling as we've been doing, now that we know, that's gonna be an issue.
So salary wise, the difference between a firefighter.
There's a, I can't,
What's that? Can you see that? To me, it mentioned.
he asked you, what's the salary difference between a firefighter and an EMT?
What's the salary?
Yeah, what's the difference between somebody who's just a firefighter and not EMT?
I wouldn't know, I couldn't tell you.
Okay, that's okay.
Be on that.
We can answer that question.
I can send you the county's pay scale. I mean, obviously it won't be exactly the same, but it would give you an idea.
So basically, your EMT will be 24/7, 7 days a week with this. Yeah, that's exactly training costs too.
I will say the county is more, I mean, we want to help, so we've always worked really well together in the past, and if we can somehow get together and figure out, how we can provide training, I think that's a good conversation for us to have. Save that cost, but.
Yeah.
Right now, my one question is, chief's recommendation to continue on as an unlicensed agency for the next couple of months. Thomas, what's your opinion? Have one? I was looking at the difference between salary. One of those, it's gonna be one of those situations that then could be with the they're gonna get a spot. What's the protection on first responders that they have? Well, there are certain other than immunity, but if you're doing something wrong. And it's scary. It's my opinion, we're being dispatched, the quickest ones there, we need to administer whatever we can to help.
You was asking me the difference between salaries of EMT and firefighter. EMT and firefighter, they do both, but your EMTs would take probably up to a year just to get their schooling. So, you'd at least $4 or $5 an hour more, or if not more. Most of you bigger towns is a whole lot more than that. Most of you firefighters gets your EMT. You probably got 4 or 5 in your department now. That's not more.
You want to give us your recommendation later on that?
Got one on every shift though.
Well, we already have.
I can't answer the question of how many. I want to say it's maybe 2 or 3. But it may not be. See what we do. We've got 3 full, when we're full. We've got 3 full timers. That are lieutenants or captains. And that's shift A, B, and C. Then we have the chief, who was 4 on full time. And then you got 2 part timers that fill those other 2 seats. Give yourself 3 on a truck. Part timers, it's all going to come down to numbers. Because again, if your lieutenant some fire departments require you to have EMT along as a firefighter before they would hire you, or that you got to agree to get it in such amount of time, so that everybody does have that capabilities. But I will verify that I don't think in our mode of operation that everybody is EMT, so you can have some real.
So you can find out who it is and who
Oh,
it
yeah.
is and see what lost.
I mean, maybe we probably have that in our fireman's files, but
But you're not asking for a motion, you're just saying.
I'm just giving you the information.
And, I think you mentioned you need to have another conversation about that.
This is more just purely right now, informational, but it's serious.
So what about the coverage going forward
What do you mean coverage?
for these type of?
If we keep, it depends on if we take them off the truck or not. Because we're gonna get there first, probably before the ambulance is, and our guys are gonna be standing around just general comfort and aid if they can't do these basic things.
All you have to have is one EMT on first shift, right?
You have a fire department report this month,
Nope, didn't get one.
because, well, 80% of those calls are in the county, right? Doesn't that cost?
There's a majority of them, yeah.
That's why I say, we're more than happy to help with training calls, because it's clearly to our benefit. I mean, so I think there's, more conversations to be had about how we can partner together,
Hey guys, this
solve
just
the
came,
problem.
this just came out last Wednesday, that I got a phone call that we were
Yeah.
having.
It came,
It happened fast last week.
Does the county have a certified trainer?
we do, so we can train, we train our own people, so we can certainly, I don't think
That was one of the
providing the
things we
training,
discussed in the
yeah,
meeting last week
that should be
with
an
Chief
easy
Hood
thing.
and all the other city chiefs was, they could do it. They could do 2 or 3 classes, and they've got the capacity and the
And
space to
we
do
can
it.
certainly provide the training.
You require your folks.
We do require them to be certified, yeah.
Is our new chief certified?
I will have to defer to his resume. I do not.
Well, and
I would say so. I would say so since he started off coming from where he came from.
I did ask Jeff about the pay. He said once they get their certification, it's less than $1 increase that they get once they are EMT, so it's not.
That's not working for this one. All right, next, consideration of animal
Animal
control.
control, okay, I bet.
You have packets in,
You do.
and Alicia brought some other stuff.
I do, I know, that one I provided you with this info, but I kind of put a little cheat sheet at the front, because if you're like me, I like to get down to the. Because my CFO is really good at a lot of numbers in here, so hopefully this will help. Okay. First of all, my name's Alicia Vaughn, for any of you that I haven't met, and I'm the county manager for Habersham, and I appreciate you having me. And do you want me to go over there behind the podium?
No,
it's okay.
Okay, good, because I like it. So we're here to talk about animal control. And I can talk for hours about service delivery, but I know you have a lot to cover tonight, so I'm gonna try to keep it short. But if you have any questions, please stop me and I'll be happy to try to answer them. First, I think it's important to say that we, as a county, are not allowed to just come into the city of Demorest and provide animal control without your express permission. So that's the purpose of having an IGA. There are some services that we can provide without the city's permission or without an IGA. Animal control is not one of those services. Now, we want and feel like it's always good for us to be talking and providing the services in the most efficient and most cost-effective way possible. So we want to provide animal control for the city of Demorest, but we also feel like it's important that we're constantly looking at the agreements that we have to make sure that we're not doubly taxing your citizens and that it is fair. And so, to be honest, my CFO and I sat down and looked at the current agreement. It had not been touched or revised in years, to be honest. And it didn't make a whole lot of sense to us. And quite frankly, we felt like, it was not necessarily very equitable for the cities. And so, even though ultimately we probably could have lost our job over this, I guess, because we had to go to my board and say, hey, you know, even though this new IGA is gonna cost the county money, we feel like it's a more equitable way, or the formula that we use to decide how we're gonna provide the service is more fair to the cities. And so we are trying to consistently go through all of our service delivery agreements and make sure that, they do make sense and they are fair. So all that being said, this is just basically, I want to kind of go over the formula to make sure that you understand how we arrived at the cost for Demorest. And so I put this sheet at the front, and you'll see the steps. But it says step 1, calculate total cost of animal control, including indirect costs. And all that means is, if you look at the county's budget, you'll see a budget for animal control. But what you don't see are all the other costs associated with that department. So we do payroll for animal control. We provide IT service for animal control. So there are all these indirect costs that we have to allocate to that department to come up with a really fair total cost, okay? So that's what that means. And if you look at the next sheet, the one that looks like this, it says animal control total budget will share costs for service departments at the top. And you'll see down here, I've highlighted where it says step 1. This is the total cost for the county to provide animal control. Okay, and that's to provide countywide. That's the total cost, okay? So that comes out, and I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses, $956,000. So just a little bit short of $1 million is what it costs us to provide the service. So that's step 1. And if you go back to your cheat sheet, you see step 2. Calculate municipality animal control cost based upon population. Okay, so go to the next page, you'll see this spreadsheet. Everybody follow me? Stop me if I get ahead of myself. Okay, and so basically what this does is it takes that cost for animal control for $956,000 and it allocates a portion of that cost to the city of Demorest, and we're doing that based on population. Now, as your attorney will tell you, there's no manual to go to and pull off the shelves that says this is absolutely the way that you determine the cost to provide any service, right? There are certain things that we have to take into consideration, but it's basically what the county and the cities decide is fair. Right, so we have to come up with some method. There's no perfect way to decide, you know, what's fair. But we did the math several different ways. My CFI and I did, and we felt like this absolutely was the most advantageous way to do it for the cities. Okay, so based on that, it shows the total cost for animal control for Demorest is that $39,810.74. Okay, so then. Back to the cheat sheet. Step 3 is, okay, so what we said was, how are we are charging for animal control countywide. So your citizens, the city of Demorest, who are also county citizens, are already paying for animal control, right, through their property tax bill. So what was, in our opinion, the fairest thing to do was to give you credit for what we're collecting on your tax digest for the county. How much money are we bringing in from the city of Demorest residents for animal control? And then we give you credit for that, and then we're charging you for the difference. So the city is basically writing a check for the difference, and that's basically what step 3 is. You'll see step 3. And what step 3 does
Is there a line item on the county tax bill for animal control?
No, because it's included in our M&O millage rate. So you don't see it separately. So you'll see that we're giving you credit for the tax digest of $26,358. Now we did that based off the gross digest. So everybody knows you have gross digest and you have your net digest. Your gross digest is just the value of all your property added together. And then we take off any exemptions, which are varied exemptions. We all have different exemptions, and that gives us net. We did it both ways. We did it based on gross, and we did it based on net. When we do it based on gross, it was more favorable to the cities, and that's why we went with gross. It's just that simple. We could literally sit here for days and argue about what's the fairest way to do this. But I'm telling you, in all honesty, we tried to come up with the way that we felt like was the most equitable for the cities. Because at the end of the day, it benefits us for you to use us for animal control. We already have the facility, we have the staff, and so it saves every citizen in the county money for us to provide the service to you. We just want to make sure that we're charging you for it in an equitable way. So at the end of the day, you would pay us based on the new IPA, which is the last page, which is step 4. You'll see where it's highlighted, you'll see the total cost for the new agreement, which is $39,1874, minus the credit for what we're bringing in on your tax digest, and then that leaves an invoice of $13,327.16. Well, that is a reduction from what you have paid us in the past.
It's a reduction of exactly $3,598.13. But that was the most important part.
Yeah, so it is a savings for the city of Demorest.
$3,600.
Yes, and we've heard, I've heard some comments, and I totally understand them, about, well, okay, Clarksville and Cornelia are not paying anything. That's not true. They actually, if we give them credit for what we bring in on their digest, it's actually more than the cost to provide the service for cities. And so that's why they're not writing us an additional check. It doesn't mean that they're not paying for the service. They are. They're just,
Their tax digest.
their tax digest, they have a bigger, obviously, tax digest.
Say, hypothetical question, Clarksville or Cornelia was to decide to do their own animal control. Would they get a refund?
So if any of the cities honestly were to decide to do their own animal control, the right thing that should happen is the county would create special tax districts, which means we would basically draw lines. We would have the unincorporated portion of the county, and then we would have a special tax district for each city, and we would have separate millage rate for animal control. It would get completely separated out from our M&O millage rate, and that's the way that would work. The only way that we can charge for animal control service countywide is if we have an IGA with each city.
Well, I have a illustration here. Down there, Demorest down there, I live on this side.
Okay.
It's in the city. The other side of the street is in the county. Does the gentleman, family living across the street, pay same I pay to the county, or they pay more?
If you live in a city, so if you live in any of the city limits in that area, you are, as a citizen, you are paying more for, well, your city is writing a check for animal control to the county.
Right.
On top of what we're collecting from the tax digest. But the county, we can agree to that, because the reason why, because that's a really good question, right? Why should you?
Is my neighbor?
Right. So the philosophy behind that is that cities exist to provide a higher level of service to their citizens, but they also put a higher burden, on county services because it is a city, so it's denser population, and so in effect you have more tax digest in that city, in the city limits, and so it puts more of a burden on animal control. So if you think about it this way, if we didn't have any cities didn't exist, it would ultimately be less burden for us to provide the service of animal control in the county. Because people tend to want to live in cities, right?
Right.
They want to live in cities, and in general, they're willing to pay higher taxes because cities provide a higher level of service. But just getting into service delivery philosophy, that's the reason why that can work that way. I hope that makes sense.
That's your question.
In the
I
city.
pay more than my
Yes,
neighbor.
Yes.
because you live in the city.
That's right. Now,
For the same service.
I think if I were I'm in your shoes, right, and I put my city council hat on, what you really need to think about is if we weren't providing, if we did, let's say we can't come to any kind of an agreement. What would ultimately happen is it would force the county to create special tax districts. That would be the right thing to do. And we could do that. But it means we don't provide animal control to your city. So is it a service that you want to provide to your citizens? A. And do you feel like you're offering it in a cost-effective manner? And are you happy with the service? Because you can always contract someone else to provide animal control, or you can try to do it yourself. I'll tell you, it's not something I would ever want to try to do myself if I were a small city, because it's just not going to be, I'm sure Mark would agree with me, it's not efficient. We already have, we have the staff, we provide the training, we already have the facility. And so we feel like we're offering it at a fair price. But you always have the option of saying, no, we don't want you to provide animal control for the city of Demorest. And then we would have to, provide that. We'd have to create special tax districts. That's what, in my opinion, what should happen. Now, if we did that, it also means that your citizens would no longer have access to our facility, because there's two parts to animal control. There's the facility, but then there's also the calls that we make in the city. When you call 911, we send an officer out to respond.
It's associated with animal control?
Yes. So in other words, if we weren't providing animal control for you, and a citizen in Demorest called 911, we would not send an officer out to respond. One of our animal control officers.
So is that what we should do with our fire department? It's not dispatched to the county?
No, we want you to use us. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that's if you decided that you didn't want to work with us to provide animal control. Does that make sense?
So, what is the cost per lease? 23 staff?
That's just for your information. We just broke it down that way. We just took the cost of that $900,000 and just broke it down to the number of calls.
Total animals 45, I guess, from last year.
Yes.
So our citizens pay for 45 animals.
I mean, those are the statistics. Those are the animals that we picked up. Now that does not include your citizens coming to our facility. So you don't see that there. I mean, we provided that just for your information, but you don't see the whole picture there. That's just the calls that we made into Demorest. That's right. That doesn't include anybody coming into the facility, dropping off animals, having their animals spayed or neutered, adopting animals. That doesn't include any of that.
I'm kind of off the subject, but still on the subject.
Sure.
The county is being overrun with armadillos.
Armadillos. That's interesting.
Y'all not seen?
I do see armadillos, and I don't know if I've ever noticed them in Haversham,
In
but
his neighborhood, that's happening over there.
really, wow, that's really interesting.
You need to go adopt a dog.
And you don't. And of course, they thought y'all would come trap them or something.
Yeah, we don't do
Yeah.
we can't do wild animals, but that's interesting to know, though. I didn't know that.
They have adoption.
They are
for dog
migrating.
services.
Well, they are. I mean, I've seen them.
Seen
You
them
should
outside.
never see
That's the only time I've
armadillos
seen them.
unless you were in the desert or.
I have a dog that you can rent.
I
You
just
don't
got
want
two
dogs.
dogs. Get the love.
I take care of
The
them.
love. Right?
Yeah.
Tractor supply.
I appreciate the explanation on this. Thank you very much. Anybody else have any
Any
further
questions? Yes, yes, good news. Good point. We are getting a new animal control facility, and we're very excited about it. The designs are finished, and the next step is we're gonna hire a construction manager, Chris, to help us with the cost of the building and try to improve it. I wish. Okay, I appreciate I appreciate you letting me come. Please let me know if you have a question. And I do want to take a second, to let you know, right, on Mark for a second, because he's just been awesome. I really enjoyed working with him, and everything I've had to ask him for, he's just been on the spot, so good job. Good hiring decision.
And you don't have to stay for the council.
Okay, well, if y'all don't need me for anything else, let me know. Thank you.
How much did you write the check to her for?
It'll be half price if you pay me now. We do accept,
I changed our
Do
cheeseburger on
accept-
Tuesday.
we do accept credit cards.
Is it 13,000?
Yeah.
And some change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas, you look over this, you're all agreement. No problem. Comments? All right, next, let's move on to, sorry.
Is it pretty much the same as what we've had in the past, other than just the difference on the calculation?
I don't know that to you.
It's just been old. I mean, we can send that to you tomorrow.
I mean, I'll compare them.
No, I read this one.
Next is the consideration of a resolution to adopt comprehensive plan.
Well, I did not attach the 115, 125 pages to each of y'all, but I sent it to y'all yesterday. And a clean version copy of it. And again, that is a guide for what we need to look at. Be up to
It's
date.
available on the county's website, say the truth.
Mark, do you want to remind us who served on that committee?
Ms. Hendricks served on the committee.
Okay.
Jimmy Davis served on that. And Amanda served on that committee.
I appreciate it.
And it was a lot of work. You want to talk about it from what y'all did? And
Being the first time that we've been on that committee, I have been on it. It was a learning experience. I think next time I would be more.
that's 10 years from now.
Yeah, there you go. I would be more prepared to get into it, but,
Is it 10 or 5?
it was a 10-year plan. We upgraded what, for 5 years?
Yeah.
I say it was a learning experience, and I appreciate serving on it. Lots of.
Adam does a good job in pulling it all together.
Next is discussion of the Toccoa water rate increase. Looks like we got a notice been going up 10 cents.
Correct.
$1,000.
Yep, on January 18th, this is the time that they annually would let us know that a price increase is will be coming into effect on July 1st of 2024. And last year was $3.11 per thousand, and this year will be going to $3.21 on July 1st, 2024. And what's interesting is I had a phone call from Ms. Wheeler, their city manager, and she wants to have a meeting with us in Banks County, who they provide water to, and just have a meeting on what's our needs, what's our future needs, so they can make sure that they've got the right allocation for us and for Banks County. So we had that discussion today.
Which is a 3.352% increase. All right, next is a discussion of,
What about passing that cost on?
well, you're gonna have to look at passing them all over our wholesale customers.
That's a zone that's up there.
Yeah, but. Next is the 4th of July discussion. Mark, yeah.
Well, guys, it's very difficult to get bids from these pyro guys. I've got the same folks from last year. They were Johnny on the spot. I've got this other pyro company that's used to use John something. He just hounded me. When it was time for him to give me a bid, he told me he was working on his W-2s and 1099s, and he was too busy. Never heard back from him after that. So our bid is pretty much the same thing at $27,800 from last year, and our
What is the difference?
it was like 20, it's right in the same thing. I want to say it was 28 and change after that. So, they shot for almost 23 minutes last year. It was supposed to go for 19 minutes. Our legal shooter is from Demorest, and he fights to make sure he gets to do his hometown. He gave us a little extra time with that, and he enjoys. And I see him around town, and he'll speak. At first, I don't remember him and stuff, and he just enjoys doing that. And so I was unable to get another bid. So Thomas, we asked. Okay. Music wise, yeah, it all sit. He's got this design right here, and with the house and where our is the location. So he's got some limits. We looked all over Piedmont campus, different places, and no matter where we go, we're gonna have difficulties with somebody, trees or a building or a turf field or the spot is too small. Otherwise, the smaller it gets, the smaller the fireworks get. And I sat on that concrete pad on the other side of the gym and saw everything except that it was so low I couldn't see it over the gym building. But people were lined up out here, parking right here, looking up over this building. And so I just think this is the spot. It's as good as it gets. I hate that we can't do it right there, with the band. But I thought it worked great. Police did a great job controlling the crowds and parking and so forth. So I would have that same recommendation for that.
Has there been discussion about taking these trees?
You have to discuss that with the mayor.
Some of the pine trees there, usually in the area where they can fall on our building.
Yeah, some of those pine trees.
We can look at thinning them out with that direction.
There's not much shade out there. So.
Well, the next thing is the band. I've had Bob and Wayne both offer some low-cost, $1,000 type bands that can play at vendors or different places around here. Basically like for $1,000 a piece. And we can go that route. But I like the young ladies that you found. Yeah.
Good.
And she's $2,700. Again, we paid $5,000 for Fly Betty, whatever you think of them. It's not what I'm saying, but it included all the band, stage, lighting, everything. It was total turnkey. And I asked Wade and Bob to give me a turnkey project. No. I mean, it's bits and pieces, but I want something I'm just going to say, hey, here's your money, here's the contract. You make sure that this is done. Because we didn't do anything but welcome Fly Betty and give them soft drinks and water. And Bailey is available. I've sent that to y'all, and there's no way to know if she's going to be perfect. But I know we got some just classic rock folks, and we got some country folks, and maybe some bluegrass folks. But it's a lot of pressure to get this thing. Okay. He's one of my least favorite jobs. But Andrew put us on Fly Betty, and I'm going to ask Andrew, ask him and say, if you think Bailey's the person, you've been here so many years and you know what people want to hear.
She did a good job.
Because you saw it. Yeah, because you were at Gatlinburg or something?
Yeah, the old brand.
Yeah. So, if you're good with that, I will go after her.
She has a good musician. She has a talent.
Good. And then the stage from Wayne, a small stage, with no roof, was like $4,500. So right there, I'm already over my budget of playing off $5,000 that worked. You know, there's different levels of these stages of these in here. I mean, one goes up to 7,500, and then another one gets up. That was just the two of those. So, somebody said, "Why don't we build our own stages that we have?" I'm like, "What Brian wants to hear, okay?" That's the next part. So, with that, my budget was, I was trying to pay off $5,000, but obviously that's not going to fly.
That's good.
That's why I said that.
Yeah. I mean, and I know we're talking about, I mean, I think Black Ray did a great job, but because of, I mean, we were getting Steve Bryson or something,
And he's come by, asked to play too. So,
Well, I think we need to consider in the future or something, instead of budget development, because of this.
and then, you know, we had, his price, you know, he was basically just him for 2 hours, 7,500, and 12 to 13 for his full band, kind of thing. Plus, then you still got the stage and all this stuff. So, I'll continue to work on this and see, but obviously the cheapest stage at this point is $4,500. And but it's the sound, lights, and stage package. So that gets up to $7,500. Because again, if it's rains, you can't get bands will have their gear out there.
So the most economical entertainment was the same event last year.
It would be if they're available.
And are we looking at donations from businesses?
Well, we get sponsors, but you gotta understand, $28,000 goes to NC, and I think it's part of y'all in politics to go ask for some staff to go ask for donations, because y'all have the contacts, and but we would have to make a budget and still be each one of y'all will raise $5,000. Yeah, but we had like $18,000 last year, right? So, and we just send a letter out to our vendors. But if somebody in the city is a big city supporter, but they're not one of our vendors, they're not getting called. So,
Now you're gonna make the right decision.
thanks, Jerry. We know what you should do. Thanks, Donnie.
my employer is a sponsor, so.
Yes.
That's what
Yeah, that's true.
One more topic of discussion is Piedmont alcohol.
I'll let Thomas get on that one because I got here late today. It should be in your package that was on this side. And this right here.
We just move that to
To the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just and that's just to allow Piedmont. Yeah, basically the way your ordinance is now, they gotta have alcohol license. Because it was, when you first did it, was frankly, because Piedmont on it. And Piedmont now wants to expand their possibilities, and it's perfectly okay for you all to allow special events for the use of legislation.
Obviously, Jamie will be interested in this once he's up and running. We're 2 or 3 months away from that.
It's kind of good the way it is because it helps us, attract businesses here, it gives them, throws some business for the field.
Yes, a benefit to
Yeah.
our business, and I think that's their way to
But
word it, that they gotta check check the city first to have.
The easier way to do it is to require people, if somebody from the area require them to be don't have to keep it necessary. Require them to do it. Unfortunately, legally, yes, you can do it.
this is a situation right now. There is someone within the city limits to do it. Where would they provide fitness? Where?
Baseball field is one of them, doing the baseball game. Last year, they did a lot of alumni events, so Lawrence would be set up with a table and beer and wine, and he would just be serving and selling like a concession
Right.
stand like that. They do have
The amphitheater is the other.
that's it for the concert.
They're gonna have it, Jimmy Buffett, tribute band.
Yeah. And then right now, for the gala, they have a company that donated the alcohol. And they had to have a company that could legally pour, but they're not selling it, they're giving it away. So we worked through that, so that they've hired an actual company that has bartenders, those kind of things.
They're trained,
They're not selling it.
very good.
Can we do a temporary change?
That's good, I mean, even if it's for a year.
Let's do a temporary change.
Till Jamie gets it, or even farmhouse, because they had the opportunity to do it, but they haven't acted on that part. I think it's limited from Sweetbreads too.
What you could do is so that even though they have to provide you with certification,
I like that.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah.
Okay,
I like that.
y'all want that?
yeah, can we go ahead and,
For, like, first week of April, I think.
So y'all can do it.
All right.
We'll take a 5-minute break.
and Jerry, when we come back, Robin will be 7:05, well, 7:04 now, but he'll be the first, once we amend the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you. Y'all grab your stuff, we'll get, I got it.
Testing, one,
There
two,
we go.
three. Testing.
You think they've got them adjusted? Does that sound, or I sound a little hollow? Okay. I know that.
All right, y'all stand with me for the prayer, then the pledge. Lord, we're thankful to gather here this evening in a community to vote on our community and focus on the people here that matter the most. We ask that you guide us and watch over us. We ask that our decisions glorify your name. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
I think we have a couple modifications to the agenda. Let's move Robin Crockham to the top of the list. And let's add the LMIG to the bottom under number 8. Oh, sorry, got the wrong one. Let's move Robin to the top, and then let's move LMIG.
Robin, after approval of minutes, before approval of minutes?
Below approval of minutes. After. And then move LMIG under the 4th of July discussion. Oh, and Piedmont. Is there any other further discussion of the agenda, or are y'all ready to accept it as modified?
I'm ready.
We'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the session as modified.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Very good. All right, first is approval or appearance and comments. We have 2 appearance and comments, one at the beginning, one at the end. Does anyone here like to speak?
I've got one quick thing.
Yes, sir.
So, we did a yard sale last year, probably about 3 or 4. People that were able to join us, they would like to know if we want to do it again. However, we'd like to go ahead and plan 4 for the year, put them on the calendar. I talked to Megan a little bit about it. I just want to bring it up to you guys, see if you approve it. And we'll just go and lay them out before across the year, and that way it gives people plenty of time to, if they want to join. And we'll just do the same setup Friday afternoon to Friday evening, then do it, the yard sale be Saturday morning or Saturday. So just want to throw that out there.
Okay.
But you guys see how you feel. So, sure.
Any discussion on that, guys? Thank you, Andrew. All right, approval of the minutes. You have 2 weeks there in your minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at it, or do you need a minute? We entertain a motion at your leisure. When you're ready, gentlemen.
So, it looks like it's already been changed on the regular session Tuesday, January 2nd. So I guess we're gonna strike what was originally on there.
No, I think that was when we tabled something.
That was for December's.
What?
Which meeting?
What are you looking at, Sean?
There's strikeouts down here under approval of minutes.
Oh, there's a black line through number 5. Minutes of December 12th.
Yeah, so in those minutes, I have
It's hard to hear you.
on microphone.
You're fine. We can hear you.
Right here.
In those minutes, basically, they were listed as, they were already struck out, but you wanted me to delete it from the minutes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Mary. Anything else?
No. I guess I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with that strikeout removed.
Okay. A second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right. All right. Next on the agenda is Robin Crockham. He joins us via Zoom. Robin, can you hear us okay?
Robin, can you hear us?
We can't hear you, Robin.
You can hear us?
What does that say at the top of the screen? Y'all see that?
Robin is connected to audio and can't hear you yet.
Let's see.
He's figuring it out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
We can hear you.
Can you still hear us?
Robin, we have a letter in our packet, and we'll let you explain what this is.
I don't think he can hear us.
Can you,
Yeah, there's no delay in the sound.
Robin,
Yes.
would you like me to read or would you like to read your retirement notice?
I don't have it with me.
Okay, I'll read it if that's okay. On February 2nd, 2024, I received a letter from the police chief. Said, "Dear City of Demorest, it is with heartfelt gratitude and respect that I submit my letter," he says resignation/retirement. We're going with retirement from my position as the chief of police of Demorest. My last day with the city will be March 1st, 2024. I plan to qualify for the position of sheriff in the upcoming primary election. I hope to continue with my career in law enforcement as I start this new chapter in my life. The decision was not made lightly and comes with a nervous excitement for what the future holds. I cannot express what my time here has meant to me, both personally and professionally. In closing, thank you again for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Demorest. I look forward to working with you again in the future. Signed sincerely, Robin Crockham, Chief of Police of Demorest, Georgia. It was tough to receive that letter last Friday, even though we've all known for some time that this day was coming. So with that,
It was tough to send it too.
well, I bet it was. But you've trained a group of men that sit in this back corner back here, and they will make you proud.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt. I have no doubt there.
And we will be planning an event for Robin for his retirement around lunchtime on March the 1st here in the cafeteria. And it will be a tough day.
Public invited.
We'll
To be discussed.
we didn't get into that part yet. But it will be for the city employees.
Okay.
And some special guests with that. So, Robin, we appreciate all your service. It's been tremendous. I've got a great friend in you since I've known you, and especially some of these policemen also sitting back here.
Robin, I wish you were here tonight to look over and see all the people that turned out for you and to hear this. It's a great turnout. And, you know, I've known you for years when you were serving here in Demorest when I was a kid. And all that time, you've served the police chief since 2016. And I appreciate you focus on education, on professionalism, and leadership. And I truly do appreciate that. So thank you very much for serving the city.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that as well. It wasn't easy. You know, it's like my letter said, it's, you know, it's nervous excitement, but, you know, sometimes you got to have faith. You know, it's a big step for me. You know, hopefully if everything works out, I'll just be up the street from you. You know.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to stand in applause for the service.
Absolutely. Robin, I know you can't see the room, but everyone's standing, and we do appreciate you. And with that being said, we will entertain a motion to accept your retirement letter.
Make a motion to accept the retirement letter of Robin Cochran.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor to accept the retirement letter?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you, Robin.
Let him stay on.
Thank you, Robin.
Robin, please stay on, though, for the next part.
Okay.
Mayor and council, we've discussed, we've talked, and we've had someone in the wings working on their training as they served as the assistant police chief. And with that, I will make a recommendation that effective midnight, March the 1st, 2024, that Casey Chastain will become our next police chief of Demorest.
Midnight, the second, first, you said?
In 1201, March the 1st, because the chief will have to leave and Casey takes over on March the 1st.
Okay.
Is there a problem with that?
Thomas, do we need to vote on that, or is that?
Yeah, it's a
I'll
recommendation.
accept the recommendation.
Okay.
Since he's a department head, you all have to approve it.
Okay. With that recommendation, do we hear a motion to accept that recommendation?
I would be more than happy to make the recommendation that, as stated.
Very good. A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Congratulations.
Casey, bring your fellow officers with you. Everybody come on.
Be shy.
That's 50 times. We already trained my
Come on up, family.
Easier if they can sit in the chairs. So this is Casey's family.
Whitney, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, you want to get over here to the side so we get everybody on the background?
You want to move everybody this way, or you saying keep them over?
No, like get them this way.
Oh.
So we get,
Come all the way in front of us, Casey.
Yeah, Demorest behind you.
You and Whitney stand in the middle. Keep on coming, family.
Come on, Rick.
Officers, keep on coming around too, please. Some can go the other side.
officer, y'all want to get up behind the council there?
So maybe 4.
Go down there again.
Do a little bit. Well, there's time behind me. Me and him take up a lot of space. Man, I feel bad for you guys having to work for. Here, he's a hard one to work for.
These two. You guys ready?
Very good. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Casey.
You're welcome. Thomas, on March the 1st, do we need to do a swearing in effective right now? So that, because if I'm thinking through the process of when the chief, Robin, is leaving, is it a special called meeting to have him sworn in on that Friday?
He doesn't need to be sworn in at a public meeting. You can if you want. He just needs to be sworn in sometime on the 1st.
Okay. The plan is on our next meeting is March the 5th. We will have, Casey will obviously already be sworn in, but we'll have a pinning ceremony for him and his family again at that time on that Tuesday night. So thank y'all all for coming out for our chief to be on March the 1st.
Very good. Robin, would you like to say anything else? Wait on the delay.
I'm proud for Casey. I know that he'll do a great job. You know, we couldn't have had a better group of women there.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
All right, next, let's move on to the utility energy efficiency presentation.
Thank you.
Mark Vandiver, would you like to come up?
Fletcher, would you like to come? Would you like to come too?
No,
Okay.
Mayor, City Council,
Would you like to come to the podium over there?
Mayor, City Council, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time this evening to talk a little bit about what Georgia Rural Water loves to do, which is squeeze energy bills. My name's Mark Vandiver. I'm the energy efficiency person for Georgia Rural Water. And I get to talk to you tonight about what's going to happen at your wastewater treatment plant that we're so proud of, because right now you're leading the state of Georgia in the greatest savings that we found in any of our cities this past year. So that's fantastic. Your savings is about $28,000. You look at that savings and how it was done. It started in 2022. It's something I get to talk about because I'm following up. This was started by Kate Lancaster and by EMI and a fellow by the name of Dennis Brown with Georgia Rural Water. We come in, we look at plants, and we say, how can we save energy? There's 3 strategies. Number 1, to determine if the plant's on the right energy schedule. Look at your energy usage, as well as something called bill demand, because that's the way Georgia Power typically passes the bills and that part on to us each month. We try to provide the lowest cost possible without you having to spend any money to save money. I don't know about you, but I hate when somebody says you got to spend $15,000 to save 10, but sometimes that happens. We shoot for a savings of somewhere around 21 to 22% off of your normal energy bills. Power factor. Power factor has to do with we don't utilize all the energy that comes into our plants. A lot of it gets burned up in heat. A lot of it gets burned up in the transmission lines that is coming from the plants, from the power plants, to us as a user. Think about when you go to buy a Coca-Cola.
I don't know about you, but when I buy a Coke, I want it to be a full glass of Coke. There's only one problem. When we walk into McDonald's and when we walk into Chick-fil-A, guess what most is in that cup? Ice. Same thing with energy. If we're not careful with the way we use energy, it can be in heat, it can be in poor insulation, it can be in poor switchgear, and all of a sudden, all that's going away in heat versus going away in work. And face it, we want to use all of our energy to do the work and the tasks that we have to do in our daily jobs. Demand. When a power company looks at us as a user, they want us not to pull too much as a demand. Think about going into a gymnasium, 300 pounds. Used to, when I was 25 years of age, I'd go into a gym and I'd put all that 300 pounds on one bar. You know what I call that today? Stupid. So you think about it, and if you take that 300 pounds and you spread that out all over the stations of that gymnasium, all of a sudden you can get as much work done, but it doesn't have the same effect. And it's the same way in our plants. If we're able to spread out that work all over the plants without doing it all at once, and at one time, we can save energy. We'll talk about that just a little bit now, a little bit further on in our bills as we pay them. This is an example of a Georgia Power rate calculator. And these are online. If you look at georgiapower.com, you can pull up their bill calculator, and that's simply what I've done, and put in some numbers. That number, I know it's hard to see, but it has a bill demand of 125. It also has a monthly usage rate of 35,000. That generated that monthly bill of $5,600. Now, there's two ways that we can actually cut that energy bill, and that is to reduce energy demand.
There we go.
Here we go. We got one.
Rhonda, will you hit the remote button on this TV?
Is it this one?
Probably. Yes. There we go.
I did do that.
Simply reducing that bill demand from 125 down to 70, lowered our bill from 5,600 down to 43. So a $1,300 savings. And we're doing the same amount of usage as far as metered amount going out each month. If we take that and we also have the same bill demand, but if we lower our usage, you can see we can go further. We cut our usage in half. So those are the two strategies that we use. One is to reduce the bill demand, or how much you're using at one time. And then second of all, is total usage at the plant. Dennis worked with Kate at the Demorest wastewater treatment plant and noticed two areas that just stuck out. In the top left-hand corner, you'll see your orbital system, or an oxidation ditch. That's the one that looks like a racetrack. And you put air in there to help those bugs oxidize and to break down everything that comes into that plant, so that's no longer any problem as far as waste treatment standards. You have to meet your permit, and doing that takes a lot of energy. So looking at that, you were putting in, I won't say too much energy, but they were able to cut back. Each one of those areas, these are actual brushes that actually introduce oxygen into the water. The good Lord blesses us in the South with a lot of cooler air from the months of November through May. You can take that cooler air and infuse more oxygen with less energy, and that's exactly what Cade with EMI and Dennis Brown of Georgia Rural Water capitalized on. And in just that area, they were able to turn back those brushes so that they're not using the same amount of energy, but still able to achieve the same amount of treatment in your waste treatment process. Move over. This is your digester. Same thing, a lot of variation. This is all the waste product that comes out of the orbital system. As a matter of fact, we call it cake. I know it doesn't look like cake, maybe a cake that I would make, but that cake that's in there is all the waste products of your oxidation ditch. So we oxidize it fully, and again, able to turn down those aerators that you see up there just by using timers and reducing the amount of energy. Dennis took all of the equipment that's at the plant and came up with a cost per year of operation. The cool thing that stood out, those two areas. Oxidation ditch as well as your digester. He was able to look at a figure, and this is what's, to me, was totally interesting. Look at the price that you're paying per kilowatt hour back in 2022. It's 8 cents. If we could pay 8 cents per kilowatt hour, I guarantee we would all be happy today. Since 2022, Georgia Power has gone through about 25% worth of rate increases. Just this past year alone, 2023, we had a 12 to 15% rate increase. If you take that number, today you're paying about 12 cents, you put it into Dennis's table, and all of a sudden you can see that you would have been paying over $75,000. But because you turned those dials back at the plant, you're only paying $49,000. Savings of about $28,000, which is fantastic in the day and time that we live in. If you take that number, total energy consumption of $240,000, put it into houses or a subdivision, you're looking at over 24 houses for 1 year savings. That's a small subdivision worth of energy. A savings of $28,000. A couple of other things I want to leave you with. Thomas Edison said there's a way to do it, a better way to do it, fine. He also said, Edward Deming said, in God we trust, all others must bring data. So with that, Mayor, Georgia Rural Water, it's our privilege and honor just to be able to say thank you for being a member. And we've got a couple of plaques. We'll go at the plant, we'll go here. Oh, fantastic. We just want to say
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your time.
Oh, very good.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out and giving us that presentation. Any questions? Thanks, Fletcher.
Mark, if you will, discuss Cade and why he's not here. And Fletcher, if you'll just add on to this going forward, what we're doing to continue this.
Tonight about 6 o'clock, I received a phone call from Mr. Lancaster saying he wished he could be here tonight. Cade went to work for Georgia Rural Water first of the year, and he is on the road tonight traveling because he's got a full day ahead of him tomorrow. Sends his regards, sends his best, and just congratulations on everything that was accomplished.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Just love to be able to see that savings come through. That's significant. All right, next is consideration of liability umbrella proposals. During our work session, we talked about a couple of different proposals laid out in front of us. And Mark, do you want to give us your recommendation?
My recommendation, after much study of this, would be to go with our HCC proposal. That will be $154,161 for our annual premium, which is less than we paid last year. And it will be a new company for us and a new relationship with one of our existing partners. So that would be my recommendation to mayor and council.
Very good. We'll entertain a motion to go with the recommendation of HCC, the premium of $154,161 per year. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to go with the HCC proposal for $154,161 in premiums.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor to accept that proposal? Very good. Thanks, guys. Next is consideration of animal control. Mark and Alicia talking to us about that. Our animal control, like it did come down from where it was at last year. And that's at an annual cost to us of $13,327.16, correct?
Extra 13,000.
In addition to what we already paid, correct? Do we have any further discussion on animal control?
I'm not running for dog catcher.
We'll entertain a motion to enter into the intergovernmental agreement with the county for them to provide our animal control for the next year and pay them an additional $13,327.16. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor to move forward with this intergovernmental agreement? Any noes? One no. Thank you. Next, we'll move forward to consideration of a resolution of adopting the comprehensive plan. Mark, do you want to talk about that?
This is a plan that we started back in 2023, like July, and had several meetings around the county in each of the different municipalities. And Georgia Mountain Regional is who put this together. Adam Hazel is in charge of doing this in our area, and they do a tremendous job. It is a tremendous amount of information that's got to be compiled. They have to have the we put 3 people on the committee, and they serve very well, and they learned a lot themselves, and it is very time consuming. And this is for 10 years, and it'll be updated in 5 years. So you think about it, when you're doing this again, it's 2034. Think about that. Who will be sitting here in 2034? So, but it is a working, living, breathing document that anybody can see. Sean said it was on the county website, and we'll see if, Megan, if that's something we can put on ours too with the comp plan. And so with that, we'll ask y'all to approve this so we can be in compliance.
All right, we need a motion to accept the resolution and adopt the comprehensive plan. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the resolution and plan.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Very good. We have discussion of the Toccoa water rate. Not much we can do about this, but we did receive a water rate increase from what we buy from Toccoa at 3.352%, which is an increase of about 10 cents per thousand. So we do need to have that discussion before that goes into effect, of carrying that cost along to our wholesale customers to pass that along.
And this goes into effect July 1st, 2024.
July 1st.
What did I say?
You said July 1st. I was just agreeing.
Okay.
Just verifying, July 1st.
Next, we talked about 4th of July discussion. Mark, do you have any recommendation? I guess we need to entertain a motion to accept the
pyro techno. It's the same company we did last year. They did an excellent job. We were scheduled to had a fireworks for 19 minutes. It went roughly 23 minutes, and it was an excellent show. It will go on right back here at the ball field as we did last year, and it is a fine job that they did. So I would ask y'all to approve that.
We need a motion to allow Mark to sign the contract to allow for the fireworks for the 4th of July, which is $27,800.
But even 27,800. Make a motion to authorize our city manager to sign the contract for Pyrotechnico Fireworks Inc. for $27,800.
Thank you, sir. A second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Next is LMIG. I think you have some changes to what the streets or the distances on LMIG, Mark.
Right. We looked at this last month, and we were awarded. We have been awarded our approval through LMIG, which is our grant money that we get through DOT, and we're supposed to match a minimum of 30%. But we pretty much last year have matched almost 100% to that. And when y'all saw it last month, we had a few distances because when we got the bid and what Brian had projected, we were almost short and we have to be exactly on the numbers change of that. The distance from the bid didn't change, and so we just had to up ours to cover those same exact. So it was just a minor housekeeping, because it's gotta be detailed to the exact number.
So we need a motion to change modify the application.
Yes, which is attached.
All right. We need a motion to modify the application. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to modify the application for the LMIG project.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor? Very good. Next is
$37,000 does not go very far.
Does not.
Does not.
Next is discussion of Piedmont. Was something brought to us. Mark, do you want to talk about why that was brought to us?
Basically, it was brought in because we had made some changes where Piedmont could bring in a alcohol license in the city limits to provide different events for their alcohol and sell that to them. And right now, we are limited with someone who can provide that with all the services they're looking for. So basically, they're asking, can we amend our ordinance? And I will let.
Well, Donnie, I think you had a suggestion on modification on that. What was that?
That we do it for a limited amount of time.
Yes, sir.
For 1 year.
Okay. Thomas, what's your opinion on that? Can you give us a proposal for a first read?
Yeah, I would recommend that you all waive first reading of an ordinance to amend section 6-20, off-premises pouring permit. It'll amend section 1A1 of that ordinance. It'll, the current text reads, an off-premises pouring permit may only be issued to licensees who hold in good standing a retail consumption dealer license issued by the city, and no such licensee shall be permitted to pour in any alcoholic beverage off premises which cannot lawfully be poured on licensee's premises. The ordinance will be amended to that section 1, there'll be 3 different sentences. After the word city in the second line, there'll be a period so that it ends license issued by the city. There will be a new sentence that said for 1 year from the date of adoption, if it is certified to the city manager that there is no city licensee that can provide the service at the event, an off-premises pouring permit may be issued to one who holds a license from any other city in Habersham County. That'll be a period, and then the last sentence of that section will be no such licensee should be permitted to pour any alcoholic beverage off premises which cannot lawfully be poured on the licensee's premises.
Can you change from city to locations? I don't know. I mean, there could be places within the county.
We want sales tax to say in Habersham.
We want, well, yeah, we wanted to say in Habersham. What I'm saying, he read it as the
Right.
cities in Habersham. We want to limit to the county, not just cities.
Okay, I'll make that change. I didn't realize that the county had alcohol as well, so yes, we can do that.
Process for a first read. How do we proceed?
Motion to waive first reading.
Motion to waive first reading.
All right, very good. We're entertaining a motion as stated by Thomas.
Make the motion.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor? Very good.
Second reading next month.
Correct, yes, sir. All right, next is manager's report.
All right. I'll start off with some good news here. Who's driven past the wall? Who has seen what's out there? The new handrails have started as of yesterday. And they look very nice. And they're saying with a week to 10 days, they should be through.
Awesome.
So, and hopefully they'll be wrapping up and the barrels can go away from that point with that. So that is excellent news. The post office and City Hall are still in discussions. They've got some limitations because their mail cannot be delivered into the building through the same door that customers can walk through. So that's creating some issue because if they want to be, and I'm going to say, this is we'll call this the old front side, but the new front side, there's no way for them to get into those classrooms on that side. So technically, they've asked for our space to be the end cap. They can come in a special door. And I said, you'd have to present something pretty strong to, because that means we would have to come down here to do that additional work down here. So we're still talking. That's the main thing. In the basketball, in the gym, we've had some vandalism again, and we have taken down 4 of the existing basketball goals and backboards, and we have installed brand new ones. And they're not cheap. And we put up on the 2 existing goals, people think it's fun to be Shaq on the lower goals, and we've watched them in the videos. Can't be identified, but mom and dad is standing right there. So there are people in there, and if it continues, y'all will have to make some decisions. So we had some vandalism down in the bathroom, down at the park, and so we dealt with that the other day. Another good news here is Old City Hall. If you're bored with nothing to do, look through the front glass of the Old City Hall. It has 4 walls, a roof, and they just put back most of the concrete yesterday. It is down to the cinder block walls. He is totally rewiring, replumbing, and new central heat and air. We will have a brand new building, basically. And so he's well on his way. Brian and our guys have taken up some of the back parking to correct some storm drains, run a new water meter, because we had to install a new one for Old City Hall, and change up some of the sewer lines and lower the grade. And we installed, let me back up, we dug the hole for the sewer, for the grease trap to be installed. That was done. Brian and his guys have most of the alleyway cleared from the asphalt and dropped the grade down on that. So they probably should finish that tomorrow. So then Brian is going to lay the same exact pavers from the street sidewalk area all the way back, and there'll have to be some new asphalt poured in the back part of that. But that is moving along very nicely. So in your package that was in the front part, you have a long piece like this. We are getting very close on them finishing our cemetery update. And I had asked Faith to look at the market out there with other municipal or county cemetery plot sales. Baldwin, you can kind of read across there, but $600, Dawsonville $1,250, Clarksville $600, Mount Airy $1,200, Toccoa $700, Lula $1,000, Livonia $1,600, Maysville $1,000, Dawsonville $1,250, Gainesville $1,200, Oakwood $1,000, Dahlonega $2,000, and Royston $500. And we're at $400. So we'll be bringing y'all some thoughts on a new market price for our plots once we figure out, and this update is done, and we see how many we have that's left.
And this isn't something to generate money. This is to put back into the cemetery.
That's correct. We do not, that money, everything goes back in there as perpetual ongoing to take care of the cemetery. So this is strictly just for the sales and the maintenance and operation.
You think you might look into like tiered, because some of those lots are really steep.
Could be like that too, once we see some of that and get that electronic layout. So no, I think you're onto something there. So
pricing on location.
Right.
Reserve the best spot now.
Exactly. Also, I have in here is the slate for the GMA for the District 2 council folks for that committee that I sent to y'all, and we'll just send in the slate if that's what y'all are okay with. To hit some high points here, this is for the month of December. We received a little over $60,000 in tax payments that were due. Background check revenue was at $19,000. We did get our federal grant received of $81,963,000 for the fire radios, and part of that was for some extras too. And we had to pay $9,370 in capital outlay for the down payment. Part of that went to the grant fee that we got, and part of it went to our 5% match into that. We received $30,151 in SPLOST revenue in the month of December. You'll start seeing some movement in our SPLOST dollars in water and sewer. In the month of December, because of the Hazel Creek relocation, we paid part of an invoice to Higgins Construction for $93,585. In the month of January, we made a payment of $245,000. So you'll see that number go from 700 to 600 now down to 400 in there. And so he's paid right here roughly $350,000 out of a $535,000 contract. They're gonna, subject to the weather, on Friday, they're gonna start to repave Ivy Street back. And because they're done on that part. That side is completely done. They're just now waiting to go to the south side, but there's some other work that's gotta be done on that for that to happen. Water sales for the month of December is $438,000. Water meter install fees of $16,000. Sewer revenue right at $50,000. Hydrant fees of $17,000. And we wrote Baldwin a check for $104,000. In Toccoa, we paid them $18,000. And then we had roughly $44,000 in various water and sewer and pipe purchases from the water and sewer department on that. Emergency locates for Bryan, and there were 5 locates that went through its normal process, were 182. Work orders 125. They repaired 22 leaks, and the water loss for the month was 627,000 gallons. Now that could have been, I don't know if that's all from the leaks, it could have been fires. I don't know if he's got those numbers in there or not. Because when we had our water leak in January, it was like 100,000 gallons for that fire they had to use. So there's some big numbers with that. They set 22 new meters. We bought from Baldwin 48,100,000 gallons of water. From Toccoa, we bought right at 5 million gallons, and from our Mize well, right at 7 million gallons, for a total of 61 million gallons in the month of December. That's a lot of water in a cold month. We like to give Greg and his street guys some credit here. They had 247 loads of street leaf, limb, and brush in 30 days time frame with that.
A lot of it came from the front of my house.
Well, I know a lot came from over here too, so a lot of people were cleaning up some lots around town, which is a good thing. On our wastewater, we are operating within our permits. Same thing with our drinking. One of the things that I picked up and added for this is our treated water. We had a daily average on our sewer plant of 229,000 gallons and a daily maximum of 325,000. So there's some pretty good water, as we saw in those slideshows of the police department had 234 calls, 6 domestic, only 1 disturbance at the hospital, so that number is going down. 8 traffic accidents, 25 traffic stops, and 12 citations. and they had 80 hours of training during the month of December. I'm gonna go easy on y'all on the financials. On page 2, you can see where we've got $241,000 in general fund. Total water and sewer, there's $1.9 million, and combined for a total cash of $3 million. So when you look down below, our expenses for the general fund was $172,000, and our expenses for water and sewer are $501,000. And again, our cash of liquidity has gone up. We've been stuck at 2.52 months to go up to 2.53 months. Page 2 of here are the note payables. This is showing you the year end, all the debts have been paid, and that's showing our total amount of debt on each one of the GFA loans and on the bonds. And then general fund shows here, which is basically the pumper truck and the USDA for the police cars. We will go to page 5. The revenue, like I had said, for the water department was $545,000, and for the year it's 6.1 for total water sales. The total operating expenses was for the month was $355,000, and for the year $4 million. We had a year-to-date of a little over $2 million of net income because our expenses were basically $2 million under what we had budgeted. Go to page 6, you can see these. We had budgeted 6.5 in sales. We came in at 6.4, so we missed it by $100,000. Expenses, here's the key here. Budget at 6.7. We came in at $4.9 million or $1.7 million under budget on our expenses. So Brian and his guys did a great job with that. We go to the SPLOST sales, which is number 7. Starting in the month of March, we have to, if you go down to SPLOST 7, you will see where the fire truck is under current year expenditures, $93,245. That will be a payment that we will make March 15th as our annual payment on the fire truck. So we're getting it down with that, and then the police cars are due a different time. And so you can see where we're at 421 on that number, and taking out 245 on those other payments to Higgins Construction. So with that, I'll conclude with those SPLOST dollars, but the SPLOST dollars are basically hitting 31 to 33,000 a month, which is well ahead. And so cash is, you know, like I said, we put down almost 500,000 into the park. That depleted a lot of cash, and we are in a cash saving mode to build those cash balances up. And we've got to work on some of our expenses on a monthly basis, and we're working on that. So with that, I conclude.
Very good. Any questions? All right. Next, we'll open it up for appearance and public comment. Does anyone here like to speak? Sir, please have the podium.
Good evening. I'm Isaac Weeks.
Can I get you, I'm sorry, sir, can you see if that microphone, you should.
Oh, you're good. It's okay.
There we go. See if you can kind of pull it up to you a little bit there. No, from the, bend it right here. Yep, and see if you can speak into that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My name is Isaac Weeks. I live on West Central Avenue up here. I was invited to complain, basically. I'm here because I'm having pretty damaging stormwater come into my home. Like it's flooding. It's due to negligence and also a non-existent storm drain that should be where it used to be. I say negligence because I called, in the past year and a half, I've called 3 times about it. One time, my yard was flooded with a foot of water. Nobody wanted to come look at it. So now that I've had pretty good landscaping damage, I called again. They came finally, not Friday, but the Friday before, had a guy come out and look at it. A crew of 3 guys. They were extremely nice, I will say that. I got to talking with them, and they told me how they had moved the culvert pipe. And first of all, I have installed several storm drain systems. I used to do it for Gwinnett County, so I know what it's supposed to look like. They told me that they moved the culvert pipe 10 feet away from the road into the drainage ditch on purpose for the past homeowner. He then went on to admit, well, let me add that there's a huge berm in front of this drainage ditch where the water cannot go. He then admitted to me that he built this berm because they wanted it. I could understand if you built it in front of the property line where you had a wall built, but not in front of where the stormwater is supposed to go. So it pulls up there and it just floods a creek into my yard. And as of now, it used to run up to my basement wall under my deck, and it would just pour around. Then it went into a huge hole. It would fill up about a foot in my yard, a huge hole. It would go into my retaining wall and then into another. They had like a big landscape wall it blew out. It's still flowing into the retaining wall. So now it's got to a point where it's coming into my front yard and it's going right past my water meter, and it's coming into my main water line, coming into my house, and it's just coming in there. Who knows what? I guess that's the route it's taking to my house. Now my basement's leaking every time it rains. I know it's going to cause foundation damage. And what I'm asking is there needs to be a storm drain inlet put where it should be off the side of the road to where it won't do this. I've even dug little relief trenches, and it actually helps. I know it will help. So what I'm asking is that would need to be pretty immediately fixed, I would think, before I get serious damage to my foundation of my home. And also, I feel like it's kind of on y'all. I did have a wall built. I'm not asking for a wall to be rebuilt or anything, but I feel like I should have some help with the landscaping that was destroyed because of this. And the future destruction I'm about to have, I have a real retaining wall that's about to blow out. And that'll be pretty serious on me if it happens. So that's just what I wanted to come across with.
And thank you for coming, and I did invite him to come. Mayor and Council, Brian met with him, like you said, 2 weeks ago, and then, not to make an excuse, but just tell the facts, Brian's been out sick since Wednesday, and just came back to work today. So I will follow up with him tomorrow to follow up, and I will show y'all. Isaac did send me a video when it is raining.
I have several pictures and videos.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So there's some issue there. Some of it will be some legal questions, because when we do get off on private property, there's some legal ease that we have to work through with the city attorney and things of that sort. So I'm out of the city tomorrow and Thursday, but I will call Brian in the morning to follow up to see what we can do. Is that fair?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks for coming tonight. We appreciate you coming and speaking. Thank you. All right. Any other appearance and public comments? All right.
I will ask for executive session for personnel and real estate.
Do we have anything else? Thomas, do you have anything?
We have two items. Entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
A second?